They said the librarian died years ago, but I saw her last night. They said the librarian died years ago, but I saw her last night. It was close to midnight, the rain coming down in slow, heavy sheets, making the street lamps look like they were drowning in their own light. I had no reason to be near the old public library. The place had been locked up since the fire in 1999, the charred remains still standing like a mausoleum for forgotten words. But I'd been walking home from my night shift, cutting through the back alley to avoid the main road, when I saw the flicker, soft, warm, and impossible, light, inside the library. It came from the reading room. My first thought was that maybe the city had finally started renovations, but then a shadow moved across the window. Slow, deliberate, like someone gliding between shelves. She stepped into view. A woman in a long gray skirt and high-collared blouse, her hair pinned in a tight bun streaked with silver. She had a face I knew from faded black and white photographs in the local history section of the newspaper. Miss Eleanor Vale, head librarian until her death in 1983. And she was looking right at me. I froze under the rain, my breath sticking to my throat like wet paper. Her eyes didn't blink. They were the sort of eyes that didn't just see you, they read you, as if turning the pages of your thoughts. Then she smiled. It was small at first, just the corners of her mouth lifting. But it kept going, stretching into something that didn't belong on a human face. I stumbled back, my boots splashing in the water, but I couldn't tear my gaze away from the window. She raised her hand slowly, palm facing me. For a moment, I thought she was waving. Then her fingers curled, one by one, into a beckoning motion. Come inside. The light in the reading room went out, leaving me in darkness. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smile. And that hand. Always beckoning. By morning, I'd convinced myself it was exhaustion playing tricks. But when I passed the library again, I saw something that made my blood run cold. The reading room door was ajar. The library smelled like wet ash and something older, something almost sweet but wrong, like fruit left too long in a jar. My shoes echoed on the marble floor. Every step seemed louder than it should have been, the sound bouncing back at me from corners I couldn't see. Dust coated everything in a soft gray film, except for a single trail of footprints. They weren't mine. Small, precise, almost dainty, leading deeper into the stacks. I followed, though my body begged me not to. The silence pressed against my ears, thick enough to hear my own heartbeat. Somewhere in the distance, a page turned. Slowly. The footprints stopped at the table in the reading room, the same place I'd seen her standing last night. A single book lay open, its spine cracked, the paper yellowed and brittle. The title on the page read, Borrower's Ledger, 1983. I leaned closer. Every name on the page had a date next to it, except the last one. Mine. Written in fresh, wet ink. The temperature dropped so fast my breath clouded in front of me. Behind me, something shifted. Soft fabric brushing against wood. I turned. Miss Vale was there. Closer than she'd been in the window. I could see the fine lines around her mouth, the faint sheen on her lips. But her eyes, God, her eyes, were glassy and deep, like the surface of a still pond. You're late, she whispered, voice dry as paper. I stumbled back, knocking into the table, the book sliding toward me. She stepped forward, each movement precise, like a puppet pulled by invisible strings. This library, she said, never returns what it keeps. She reached out, her fingers cold even from inches away. I ran. The aisles between the shelves seemed longer now, the light dimming with each turn. I could hear her footsteps, light, steady, always the same distance behind me, no matter how fast I moved. When I finally burst through the front doors, the rain was gone. The street was silent. But as I turned to look back, I saw her silhouette framed in the library doorway. She was holding the ledger. And she was writing in it. I didn't go near the library for days. But she didn't stay there. It started with small things. A faint smell of old paper in my apartment, like the kind that clings to your hands after flipping through forgotten books. Then, at night, I'd hear faint creaks, slow, deliberate, as if someone were pacing across the floorboards, even though I lived alone. On the fourth night, I woke to find my bedroom door half open. I always kept it closed. Always. I told myself it was my imagination. Until I saw the bookmark. It was lying on my pillow, yellowed, frayed, stamped with the library seal. On the back, in the same neat handwriting from the ledger, was a single sentence. Overdue. The air seemed to thicken, my skin prickling with the kind of cold that comes from inside. My mind flashed back to her words. This library never returns what it keeps. The next day, I went to City Hall, hoping for answers. In the dusty archives, I found her file. Eleanor Vale, head librarian for 43 years. Beloved by the town. But then came the incident. Several patrons had gone missing over the decades, always after visiting the library late at night. No charges. No proof. Only whispers. The last disappearance. 1983. The same year Miss Vale died in the fire. But the official report was vague. No body recovered, no confirmed witness. I was staring at her photograph in the file when something caught my eye. In the reflection of the archive window, she was standing behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The room was empty except for the dust swirling in the dim light. Still, the smell of paper and ashes lingered. I grabbed the files and left, shoving them into my coat. I needed to know why she had written my name in that ledger. That night, sleep was impossible. My apartment felt smaller. The shadows stretched too far, the corners too dark. And then, just after 3 a.m., I heard it. The sound of pages turning. Slow. Patient. It was coming from the living room. I crept to the doorway, my heart battering against my ribs. She was there, sitting in my armchair, the ledger open in her lap. Her face was calm, almost gentle, but her hands, they never stopped writing. Line after line. Names I didn't recognize. Until she turned the book toward me. Every name had a date beside it now, including mine. Tomorrow's date. You are due, she whispered. All borrowers must return themselves. The walls around me seemed to fade, replaced by endless shelves stretching into darkness. My apartment was gone. I was inside the library. The shelves loomed higher than buildings, packed with books whose spines bore no titles, only names. Each one pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat muffled by paper. I ran, but the aisles shifted beneath my feet, twisting into new corridors. Somewhere above, I heard the steady creak of her footsteps, always in time with the flicker of dim lamps overhead. Don't fight it, her voice echoed. You belong here now. I turned a corner and nearly collided with a figure. A man, pale, eyes hollow, lips moving soundlessly. His hands were bound by library bookmarks, his body trembling. Then I saw the others. Dozens of them, wandering the aisles in silence, each clutching a book to their chest. When I looked closer, I realized the books were themselves, their lives, bound in covers, pages forever trapped. Miss Vale appeared between the shelves, the ledger closing in her hands with a sound like a coffin lid. You borrowed time, she said. And now it's overdue. Her fingers brushed my forehead, and everything went black. When I woke, I was standing in the reading room. My hands were different, pale, brittle, like thin parchment. On the table before me lay a single book. My name embossed on the spine. Outside, rain streaked the library windows. A boy stood on the street, staring in. Our eyes met. I smiled, and raised my hand.